Hello, my loves. Vonnie here, and I know it's been a while. It's been a few months, and life has been lifing. I've been having some health issues. I am now diabetic, type 2. So thankfully, with a nutritionist and everything, I can regulate easier and not have to rely solely on medication. But it was a very scary time. I was at work and I hadn't eaten, and my face went numb. And when they checked my blood sugar, it was over 200. And I was terrified. I scared the hell out of my boss because we were changing shifts when I arrived. And I'm just folding laundry, and then suddenly my face goes numb. I get lightheaded, I get dizzy, and then everything goes numb. And my boss called the ambulance. Ambulance came, they took me to the hospital. Blood sugar had spiked over 200. I had a panic attack while I was having that, so then my hands and feet went numb because I was hyperventilating. So it was a very scary time. Eventually they were able to get my sugar down, and I was told not to skip meals because my sugar will spike regardless if I've had any food or not. My body is just not regulating my sugars properly, which it never has. But before, it was low blood sugar. I would pass out due to low blood sugar. Now it's high blood sugar. So yeah, my body doesn't like me. Another thing, I was having problems with my heart. Come to find out, it was my antipsychotics. So I did talk to my psychiatrist, and he lowered the dosage of it, which is okay because my hallucinations haven't been out of control. They're almost non-existent, actually. I will have one here and there, but I haven't had any, I hate that time clock, any concerning problems. However, my bipolar was not doing so great. I had bouts of mania and a very long bout of depression. The mania, thankfully for me, is not too bad. I usually get my impulses aren't harmful unless you attribute that to my bank account. I went on a shopping spree with money I don't have because of my mania. I didn't sleep for 3 days straight. I completely rearranged my room, took Iris's queen bed out, gave that to a friend, took Lily's twin bed out of my room, put that in Iris's room for her, rearranged. My bedroom looks like a bomb exploded, and it looks like a dump. And I've been trying to clean it after the manic episode, but my depression got really bad, and I would barely get out of bed. I made an effort, but I stopped turning in my homework assignments because I couldn't focus long enough to read any of the assignments or write any of the assignments. I barely ate. And the only time I got out of bed was when I had to go to work. And I just put on that mask and told everybody I was fine. I was going through some things, but that I was fine. I did show up to work every time I had to work, so there was that. But yeah, it's not been a good couple months. The government shutdown was also terrifying, especially with my SNAP benefits. So for those of you who did request a reading, it was highly appreciated. And for those who sent donations, that was also highly appreciated. Those went to groceries until my food stamps were reactivated. But yeah, my depression was so bad that I couldn't function. I could barely function. And it had to do with my ex-husband, because he visited the kids at he did ask permission, but I allowed it because I wasn't going to be home for most of it. And then when I did see him, it was very difficult for me. A lot of feelings and emotions bubbled up, and it just wreaked havoc in my head. And I was ruminating, and I talked to my kids about it. And finally, I was like, you know what? I can't have him in the house. My kids were like, well, what if you're not there? And I'm like, nope. The thought of him being in my house makes me disgusted. And I felt bad because this is my kid's dad. And while he did do some terrible things, in general, he wasn't a bad person. He just made really bad decisions. And I do see an improvement in him, but I never once got an apology, and I don't think I ever will. And I have to accept that. And I have to accept the fact that I'm still very angry and very hurt. So with the help of my psychiatrist, I adjusted my meds. And then after talking to a few friends, getting some advice, my ex-husband's no longer allowed in the house, and I'm about to start a 10-week intensive outpatient program where I will be going to group therapy 3 times a week for 3 hours each, and then individual therapy for an hour once a week. So 10 hours a week of therapy, because I have a lot to unpack. Also, my endometriosis has been endometriosising. I went to a specialist and had an exam, and we discussed all of what I had been trying to do over the past few years to try and manage it. And he conceded and told me that yes, I could have a complete hysterectomy, which I was ecstatic about because I've already had one ovary out and that did improve, but it's all over. So, however, it's not until February, so I have to wait. And this month, still November, my period lasted 3 weeks. I was bleeding for 3 weeks. So I had to call the doctor's office again. They gave me medication for it. So I got the good pain meds, and I got Provera, a progesterone hormone, to stop the bleeding all the time. But again, I have to wait until February. So my hysterectomy is scheduled for February 6th. I'm nervous, but I'm also excited. But yeah, I won't have to be dealing with endometriosis for much longer. Spiritually, I haven't done much. Though my Richie room looks almost just as bad as my bedroom, because during a manic episode, I bought bookshelves and new accoutrements and things like that, and then I took everything apart and I never finished it. So I haven't been in there in over a month, and I haven't done anything in there in months. And everything's covered in dust because the last altar setup that I have in there was from Imulk, and that's how shitty things have been. Or maybe it was Beltane. Could have been Beltane. But yeah, haven't done shit. And I've done a couple of workings. I did one with St. Expedite, and he was wonderful. But I have been leaving rose petals for him. He seems to like that. But I haven't asked him for anything. I just kind of leave rose petals every once in a while. Yemaya, while I don't worship at her altar, I wouldn't say, it's like I visit her in my dreams. While I'm in my dreams, I converse with her and show her and adore her, and it's just kind of like going to your mom to hang out for a little bit. And that's been wonderful. But yeah, and the great thing is my daughter recently was telling me that this happened a couple times where when she was dreaming, she was met by Yemaya, and while they didn't talk, she automatically felt like, I know this person. This is Yemaya. This is Mommy Zarisha. And she told me about that, and I was just like, my baby. And then she also mentioned that Jack, her little cat, visits her in her dreams. And I'm like, that's because he's not just your pet anymore. He's now your familiar. He works magically within you. And she was ecstatic. She's like, my baby. We're both kind of stupid when it comes to our babies. Found out that the Wishy shop that I do my oracle readings is closing. They sent the owner a text message saying that their lease would not be renewed. And we thought that was odd, especially since they didn't call, not even an email. They sent a text message. And we thought it could be one of two things. They found somebody new who they could charge out the ass for, or some religious zealots have a stick up their ass. So when Lorraine, the owner, text messaged them back being like, I'm confused. I've never had an issue at the store. I've never had the cops called. I've never had any issues. I always pay my rent on time. What's going on? They never responded. So we're leaning toward that somebody has a stick up their ass. So I will not be doing oracle readings anymore. And while I am sad about that, I'm not too heartbroken about it, especially with everything I've been dealing with. However, if you do want an oracle or tarot reading, just email me at thevoniness@gmail.com and we could figure something out. I have PayPal, I have Venmo, I have Cash App, I have Zelle. If you trust me enough with your credit card information, I can put that in there too. If you want to do it through Facebook, we can do that. If you just want me to send you a video, I can do that. If you want Instagram, I can do that. I was actually thinking of joining TikTok, but I'm a millennial who isn't really into social media as much, so I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I also trained a girl at the bakery to do the lefse, so I'm no longer doing that. So after December, I will be back to just one job. I'm doing terribly in school because I got sick so often that I missed a bunch of assignments. However, I have kept in contact with my professors and told them what's going on, so they are being lenient, but I'm afraid I'm not going to pass any of my classes this semester. So yeah, life has been really shitty, but I'm working on it. And I'm thankful because I do have some of you viewers on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm thankful that everyone has been so loving and wonderful to me. And I have a real bad case of the lonelies. And I'm just trying to get through one day at a time, and that's the best I can do right now. So sorry for the shitty lighting. I'm at work. But yeah, I'm gonna be an old lady and eat some Werthers for fun. And I hope you guys have a wonderful winter season. Love you. Brightest blessings.